All right. Today, we are going to crack the code on what might just be the single toughest part of IB economics, writing that perfect, top-scoring evaluation paragraph. If you're looking to turn your good answers into great ones, well, you are definitely in the right place.
So why is it so hard to get those top marks? It's a question pretty much every IB Econ student asks themselves at some point. You feel like you've got the material down, you can draw all the graphs, you get the theories, but actually getting a 6 or a 7, it just feels out of reach. So what is the missing piece of the puzzle?
Well, this slide shows you the gap perfectly. Most students do an amazing job describing and explaining a concept, and then they just stop. But the top scorers, they add one more crucial final step. They evaluate. And that single action, believe me, is the entire game changer.
I like to think of this evaluation part as the final hurdle, kind of like the grader's gauntlet. It's the thing that separates a solid answer that gets a 5 from a truly exceptional one that earns a 7. This is where the big points are won, and it's where you prove you're really thinking like an economist.
So get this. It's not about memorizing more definitions or more theories. Nope, it's all about showing a higher level of thinking. IB examiners are literally trained to hunt for and reward this exact skill. If you can master this, you can master the exam. It's that simple.
Okay, so how do you actually do it? Well, the best news is that it's not some kind of complicated secret. It's actually a really simple, repeatable, 4-part formula that the top-scoring students use to nail their evaluation paragraphs every single time.
And here it is. That's it, just 4 parts. First, you start with a clear judgment. Second, you weigh the strengths and weaknesses. Third, you back it all up with a solid real-world example. And fourth, you wrap it all up with a sharp little micro-conclusion. So let's break each of these down.
Okay, let's dive into step 1, which is arguably the most important. Don't, and I mean don't, hide your main point or save it for the very end. You need to kick off your evaluation by taking a clear, confident position right there in the first sentence. Tell the examiner what you think right up front.
Now, a judgment isn't just saying a policy is good or bad. It's way more nuanced than that. It's an analytical statement that takes a position while also showing you get that the real world is complicated. This immediately signals to the examiner, okay, this student is shifting gears from just describing to actually evaluating.
And this is a perfect opening. Just look at it. It does 2 brilliant things at once. It acknowledges the goal of the tax, but it immediately introduces a huge condition for its success: price elasticity. The examiner now knows you're not just spitting back a textbook definition, you're applying some real critical thought.
And that leads us right into the real core of your analysis, what I like to call the it depends factor. This is without a doubt the most underrated part of any grade evaluation, and it's the thing that examiners absolutely love to see.
So this it depends factor is built on a foundation of balance. You've got to weigh the strengths, what works well, who benefits from this policy, against the weaknesses. What could go wrong here? What are the real limitations?
Now, the really cool thing here is this word conditionality. This is the magic ingredient that just takes your analysis to the next level. Instead of just making a list of pros and cons, you start connecting them. You start arguing that a policy is strong under these conditions, but it's weak under those conditions. That right there, that's true economic thinking.
So what kind of conditions should you be thinking about? Well, here are the examiner's absolute favorites. The effectiveness of almost any policy depends on one of these factors. Does its success depend on elasticity, on the time frame, short run versus long run, the size of the intervention, or the market it's in? Using these as your guideposts will help you build a really sophisticated argument.
All right, so you've built the analytical engine of your evaluation. You've made a judgment, you've explored the conditions. Now it's time for the final 2 elements that are going to make your argument powerful, credible, and really, really memorable.
Seriously, nothing makes an argument more persuasive than grounding it in reality. A short, relevant, real-world example takes your theoretical points and proves they actually matter in the real world. It just instantly boosts your credibility in the eyes of the person reading your paper. And just look how effective and straight to the point this is. It's short, it's specific to a country, and it directly supports an evaluative point about the limitations of an indirect tax. It is the perfect way to make your analysis concrete and so much more persuasive. And finally, the micro-conclusion. Now, this isn't about just repeating your first sentence. No way. This is your chance to tie everything together, your judgment, the conditions, the example, into one last mature sentence that shows a real depth of understanding. This is a fantastic example. It brings the main argument together, and then it looks forward, suggesting that, hey, this policy isn't the end of the story. It's part of a much bigger picture. This demonstrates a sophisticated level of economic thinking that graders are absolutely looking for.
So let's put it all together one last time. By following these 4 simple steps, you are setting yourself up to write a complete, high-scoring evaluation every single time. Start with a judgment, analyze those it depends factors, ground it with a real example, and then finish strong with a micro-conclusion. It's a winning formula.
And you know, when you think about it, this framework is so much more than just a tool for an exam. It's a powerful method for thinking critically about pretty much any complex issue you're ever going to face. So the only question left is, what will you evaluate next?